Studies show that over the course of a working life, an attractive person earns approximately $230,000 more in the same job. That review comes from a peer-reviewed academic economic article. An economic study. Economics even have a word for it, which is very, very, very hard to pronounce, but it's called pulchronomics. I promise if somebody writes something about my pronunciation in the comments, I'm gonna cry. The formal academic study of how physical beauty functions in markets. I'm Mehan. I'm a law student that studies finance and makes it very, very simple for you. And today I'm going to explain you the first principles of capitalism using pretty privilege as a teaching vehicle. Capitalism at its core is an economic system built on three core principles. Private ownership of the means of production, the tools, land, and resources used to create value. Free markets, where prices are determined by supply and demand rather than government decree. And the profit motive, the idea that individuals pursuing their own financial interests will, in aggregate, drive economic growth. Now, here's the parallel that will reframe how you think about your body. In capitalism, the means of production are privately owned assets that generate value. Under petty privilege, your face is a private asset that generates value. You were born with it. You maintain it. You deploy it in the labor market. It produces economic returns. By every definition that capitalism gives us, your appearance is a means of production. All three pillars of capitalism directly apply to beauty. Private ownership, your appearance belongs to you, and no one else can claim it. Free market, employers, partners, social networks collectively determine the value of your face. They determine what your appearance is worth in each context. And profit motive. People spend hundreds of dollars annually investing in their appearance to improve their market outcomes. And that sounds so terrible, that's the truth. That's why I want to save this speech for the later, especially for the girls that are watching this video. If you want to escape that route, you have to have an impeccable education, have so much value outside of your beauty so that when you eventually lose it, because people get old, people lose weight, people gain weight, beauty is the most volatile thing ever because it will eventually disappear. So you have to create value outside of it. Like in capitalism, only relying on your salary will not get you too far. Marx argued that whoever owns the means of production controls the economy. In the beauty economy, you own your appearance, but the market controls its worth. You cannot opt out of being priced, especially if you're a woman. The moment you walk into a room, an interview, a Zoom call, they have already decided what your value is based on your appearance. Can be changed later. That's why I'm telling you that you have to diversify, like you do with your investments, but you have to diversify your assets, like not only relying on your beauty. Even though you did not consent to being listed, you will be listed. Capitalism uses prices as signals. When the price of something rises, it signals to producers. Make more of this. There is demand. The price signal for beauty has been consistently high for centuries. And the beauty industry's response is exactly what capitalism predicts. The global beauty and personal care market is currently valued at around $600 billion and growing at 5 to 7% annually, according to McKinsey. And here is one of the most counterintuitive points in all of economics: the lipstick effect. During recessions, when the prices go up, when people lose jobs and cut spending, cosmetic sales consistently go up. The argument is that people substitute expensive luxury items to more affordable ones that still signal status. But deeper reading is people invest more in their appearances when economic conditions get tougher. Because when the market is tough, your face is capital, markets price it, profit motives drive investments in it. The system treats it exactly like it treats every single privately owned asset. Now, how does the pricing mechanism actually work? Supply and demand is the most fundamental mechanism in capitalism. Price is determined by the relationship between how much of something exists, supply, and how much people want it, demand. When supply is low and demand is high, prices rise. When supply is abundant and demand is low, they drop. Now apply this to beauty. Extreme conventional attractiveness is statistically uncommon. Supply is low and demand is universal. Every hiring manager, every date, every client, all of them at some level respond positively to facial attractiveness. High demand and low supply in the form of opportunities, higher wages, better treatment, all of those. By the way, have you ever faced pretty privilege? Have you ever seen somebody treat you better, like in real life, or maybe getting a better salary? If you have, I would love to hear your story in the comments. Economist Daniel Hammermesh, the leading researcher in this field, calculated that over a full working career, working life, an attractive American woman earns around $230,000 more more than a non-attractive one. His studies, spanning decades of data, found that attractive people earn 10 to 15% more than their less attractive peers. And crucially, there's not only a premium for being attractive, there's also a penalty for being unattractive. Men rated below average earned 13% less than men that were rated as average looking. There's a beauty premium and a plainness penalty, which is absolutely crazy. A separate body of research shows that attractive criminals usually have lighter sentences, and attractive political candidates win more elections. The more valuable assets you earn, the more value you have in every single aspect of your life. Here it gets genuinely mind-blowing from a market dynamics perspective. Social media has changed the supply and demand for beauty. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have massively increased the visibility of very attractive people, and they have also increased the visibility of very luxury lifestyles. An interesting correlation of privilege and capitalism. So high beauty standards have become universal. People that would look incredibly attractive now are not just compared to models that we were seeing before, but to average girls that film dancing videos on TikTok that are not that average now because they're pretty. The demand side of the beauty market has been turbocharged by technology, like it goes to every single asset. And even though there's more supply now, it's interestingly not shrinking. Thomas Piketty, the French economist, whose book Capital in the 21st Century became one of the most read economic texts of the last 2 decades, argues that capitalism has a fundamental structural feature. The return on capital consistently exceeds the rate of economic growth. What it means in profit is that people who want assets get richer quicker than people that rely on labor. Wealth compounds, which I have also talked about in my previous video. An attractive person enters the labor market. They get hired more easily. Research confirms this. They earn more from day one. That additional income gives them the ability to invest in their appearance, going to the gym, doing facials. These investments maintain or even enhance their attractiveness. This expands their social network, built partly on social advantages of being attractive in the first place. Their next salary negotiation goes better. It is the link to privilege, but I want to say one thing. Let me say it. Girls, okay, maybe men too. Some men are pretty. Please don't rely on your beauty too much. That's right. It gives you so much capital, so we can't compare it to capitalism. And I'm giving it as an analogy. But the thing is that your capital is with you forever unless something bad happens. Your beauty is not. Your beauty is not going to be here forever. You're not going to be beautiful all your life. It's like you are going to be beautiful, okay? Like old women can be beautiful. Everybody can be beautiful. But you're not going to be attractive in a way that the modern society wants you forever. It's not going to happen. And I hope it doesn't. I hope you grow old. I hope you change. So please diversify. Have other things. Use your pretty privilege now, but never rely on it. Okay, I'm sorry that was a rant. The compounding mechanism is also supercharged by what's called the halo effect. When people see that you're attractive, they think that you're smart, they think that you're effective, fast, everything. It doesn't give them the perks just because they're attractive. It does because psychologically convinced that if they're attractive, they're good at everything. And then the most striking finding, the beauty premium, is intergenerational. What? Hammer's most recent research found out that children of attractive parents earn approximately $2,300 more per year than the ones that are not. Beauty advantages transfer across generations, just like inherited wealth. The most visible real-world example of pretty privilege and wealth is the Kardashian-Jenners. Beauty capital created followers created revenue, and it followed through. And their initial asset, which was their beauty, compounded. Also, do you know that this chair is rocks? I know, right? That's cool. In a perfectly efficient labor market, technically, the wages should reflect productivity. You get paid for what you produce, right? No. Markets are not perfectly efficient. And one of the most prominent, most studied forms of market inefficiency is discrimination. The discrimination argument is that employers and colleagues simply prefer to be around attractive people, regardless of whether it creates output. This is called taste-based discrimination. It has nothing to do with productivity. And there's also the efficiency arguments that shows that attractive people are genuinely more confident. Therefore, we're making them more confident in sales and more successful in positions that are more customer service oriented. Hammer have even concluded that since facial attractiveness is a purely genetic thing, like race or gender, less attractive people should be a socially protected class, eligible for anti-discrimination practices. This argument has not been adopted anywhere, but the fact that an economist at Princeton says it, that's pretty huge. Even in the legal system, if criminals get lighter sentences on average for being attractive, this is a problem. And this is one of the core problems of capitalism. Things that are not related to productivity, although a system that is supposed to be on productivity, often become more important. And there's no protection against that. Capitalism justifies its inequality with the concept of meritocracy. The idea that better outcomes go to people that produce more value. And it is generally true. But some premiums, like the beauty one, are not merit-based. It is an accident of genetics amplified by compounding. Facial symmetry should not be rewarded as merit. But can we do anything about it? Pretty privilege creates multiple textbook market failures. The first market failure, externalities. An externality is a cost or benefit that falls on somebody that was not even a part of the original transaction. Classic example, a factory pollutes a river. The factory and its consumer transact, but the people that bear the problems related to it are not those. People downstream will face it. This is what's called the ugly tax. And in factors like the pretty privilege, it's very hard to regulate. There's also a positive externality because attractive employees usually kind of enhance the brand. They're good to advertise. A more attractive sales professional will always close more deals for sure. This is why fashion industries, marketing industries, sales, etc., they always hire more attractive employees. And in doing so, they create negative externality for everybody else. The second market failure is imperfect information. Markets work best when they understand the product, when they understand what they're working with, and it has to be transparent. But in hiring someone, you can't really understand their level of competence, right? You can't be completely sure, so you rely on some different proxies like attractiveness. And that costs the economy, companies, real talent and real effort. And then there is the rent-seeking question. A beauty influencer that is creating millions, rent-seeking in economics refers to gaining wealth by manipulating the social or economic environment rather than producing value. Like, it's usually applied to beauty influencers that just get thousands and thousands of dollars being photographed, even though I don't think that they're not creating value because there is the entertainment value that they create, but still there is a debate over it. So there's a question, is the influencer creating value or are they manipulating the market? The answer is both. They are serving real demand. People want to see it. If they wouldn't want to see it, they wouldn't earn it. But the demand itself was partly manufactured by an industry that feeds itself on insecurity. The market created the demand. The influencer meets it. The beauty industry monetizes both. So the problem is not the influencer that does that. It is the market that feeds off insecurity, cosmetics, plastic surgery. It's not like I can stop wearing makeup today and have the same effect that I have on people that I get on job interviews or in my videos. It's the unfortunate truth that we have. The human capital theory, developed by economist Gary Becker, argues that individuals invest in themselves to create more earning. Education is a classic example. People invest in education so that they can make more money. They take student loans because they think that they're going to get more return. The same thing goes to appearance. People wear makeup, people do their hair in a way that is going to be an investment. It is going a little bit overboard though, because I don't think I can go a week without being asked why I'm not getting a nose job. And my nose is like fine. Like my nose is not a very it's not that weird. I think it's completely fine. I don't want to get a nose job, but whatever. I'm sorry I went off the track, by the way. If you're enjoying this video so far, I'm Mehin. I'm teaching you financial concepts in a very easy way because I'm literally learning them right now. I'm a law student. So if you want to be with me on my road to 2,000 subscribers, I would be so glad to have. This is why the cosmetics market, beauty, the personal care markets are so big. Every woman has bought a new foundation before a job interview, has unconsciously made an investment. The global medical aesthetics market is worth $66 billion. This is terrible. Plastic surgery is so normalized. The surgery market is growing at 18% annual return. They artificially manufacture the band. It sets the beauty standards. Then they raise the standard and they also sell you the tools to reach it. And it's a vicious cycle. This is how capitalism works. Women are usually the ones paying that additional tax in everything because we are always valued for our appearance no matter what, no matter the setting. Nobody's progressive enough to not value a woman for her appearance. Adam Smith, Invisible Hand, argues that individuals pursuing their own self-interest through markets inadvertently produce collective goods. So people in the beauty industry, by following their desire to be more beautiful, by investing more in it, make this market bigger, make this market expand. And also it creates a disadvantage to people that are not as attractive. which is problematic, but it's almost inescapable right now. The invisible hand is not producing a good outcome right now, and the market has no self-correction mechanism. Capitalism is not a neutral system. It prices everything that markets can absorb, including things that have nothing to do with productivity and efficiency and speed. Petty privilege is a perfect analogy to how the capitalist system works. I'm not saying capitalism is bad or petty privilege is bad. I'm saying they're basically natural at this point. But sometimes we have to go against it. But the system is working. The question is whether the system is just and whether we have an option that will free us from it. Your face is a means of production. Conventional attractiveness is scarce, high price. The beauty premium compounds across your lifetime. If you experienced this, please let me know in the comments. Let's see how many of us have. And if you want to see more videos related to law and finance and how things work in very, very, very simple terms, I'll be glad to have you.